Patience is a form of wisdom. You didn't come here by accident. Maybe, just maybe, a part of you is searching for peace. If that's true, then stay right here. Take a deep breath and open your heart, because every day, right here, we share stories that were made just for your soul. If life has been loud lately, if your heart feels tired, if you're trying so hard to stay strong while no one really sees your pain, then maybe this story is the answer you've been needing. Let me ask you something. Have you ever lost something precious just because of a single moment of anger? Have you ever wished you could go back in time, just 5 minutes, just enough time to be patient? They say water cuts through stone, not by force, but by persistence. So let me take you into a story where silence speaks louder than words, and patience becomes the most powerful wisdom of all. Are you ready? His name was Michael Harper, a man in his late 60s, wrinkles like etched stone, voice like gravel, and a temper as unpredictable as the wind. Michael had spent his whole life working as a bricklayer, building houses for others, but never really building peace within himself. He was known in his small town as grumpy, hard to talk to, and always in a rush to be right. But there was someone who had stayed beside him through it all. Emma, his wife for 35 years. Emma was the kind of woman who spoke more with her eyes than her lips. She cooked quietly, cleaned silently, and somehow smiled, even after being shouted at. Every morning, Michael would grumble about the world, slam doors, complain about how the toast was too cold, how the dog barked too loud, how life had never been fair. And Emma would just listen. She'd gently pour his tea, say nothing, and let his storm pass. One day, Michael came home from the town's market, his face red with fury, his hands shaking. "What the hell happened here?" he roared. There, in the back of the garden, BYDT was a small section of their brick wall, broken. Some bricks had been pulled down, left scattered on the grass. He stormed into the kitchen, his voice louder than the old radio playing in the corner. "Who did this? This is sabotage. I knew it. That punk neighbor kid, I told you." Emma didn't look up. She simply dried her hand and said softly, "I did." Michael froze. "You," he whispered, "you broke my wall." Her voice didn't tremble, just calm, like always. There was a beehive behind it, Michael. "Yesterday, our granddaughter ran out there to chase butterflies and almost got stung. I got scared, so I took down a few bricks to smoke them out." Michael blinked. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked confused. "I was going to call a mason tomorrow to fix it," Emma added. "I didn't want you to stress." That night, Michael didn't eat. He sat on the porch, holding a single brick in his hand, and for the first time in decades, he cried. He wasn't crying because of the wall. He was crying because he realized that for all these years, Emma had been building something far more important than bricks or fences. She had been building peace. Not once had she yelled back. Not once had she humiliated him in front of others. She had simply waited for the storm in him to trounce to my. The next morning, as sunlight painted their garden gold, the neighbors saw something they never thought they would. Michael Harper, the grumpy old bricklayer, was kneeling beside that broken wall, laying bricks with his own hands. But this time, he wasn't building with frustration or anger. He was building with remorse, with love, with silence. A boy from the nearby house shouted, "Hey, Mr. Harper, what are you building today?" Michael looked up, smiled for the first time in years, and replied, "Something I should have built a long time ago." He didn't mean the wall. In the quiet act of rebuilding that broken wall, Michael wasn't just laying bricks. He was laying down the weight of his past, his anger, his pride, and what Emma had shown him was not weakness, but the deepest form of wisdom, patience. But tell me, when you hear the word patience, what do you feel? Do you think of it as giving in, as being passive, as just swallowing pain? Or do you see it as power? Because in Buddhism, patience is not weakness. It's a sword, a blade that cuts through ego, pride, and desire. In the Dhammapada, verse 222, the Buddha says, "He who can restrain his anger as a driver controls a chariot on a narrow path, such a man is truly noble." Michael was once like a chariot without reins. His emotions controlled him. His tongue struck faster than his mind could reflect. But Emma, she was like the Buddha described, quiet, gentle, but deeply grounded. The Buddha also taught in the Itavataka, enduring patience is the supreme ascetic practice. That means it's not in loud chants or complex rituals, but in the everyday choices, the ones where we choose not to yell, not to react, not to fight back. The real spiritual power is found. So let me ask you, would you rather be right or be wise? Would you rather win an argument or keep a relationship alive? And here's a harder question. If someone mistreats you again and again, at what point does patience become self-harm? Where is the line between wisdom and self-betrayal? This is where many fall into confusion. But the Buddha never asked us to endure forever. He asked us to practice patience with discernment. Kshanti, the Sanskrit word for patience, means not just to endure, but to understand before reacting. Emma didn't stay silent because she was afraid. She stayed silent because she saw clearly. She knew that Michael was not his anger. She knew that inside him was pain. And beneath that pain was love that had forgotten how to speak. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha said, "Speak only the speech that does not bring remorse, is pleasant to hear, and useful to others." Now ask yourself, when was the last time your anger left you feeling proud? Or did it leave behind guilt, shame, a wall you wish you hadn't built? Michael had to lose his voice to hear Emma's silence. He had to lose his pride to discover humility. He had to break a wall to start building a bridge. Debate triggers for comments. Is patience always wise, or can it become a prison? Is it better to confront someone's bad behavior or to wait and love them through it? Have you ever lost someone because you didn't wait long enough? Tell me below, because your story might be the one that saves someone else today. So now, take a moment, close your eyes, and think of someone in your life who's been patient with you. Someone who, instead of yelling, chose silence. Someone who could have walked away, but stayed. Someone like Emma. Now open your eyes and ask yourself, are you being that person for someone else? Or are you like Michael, too proud to notice the love in someone else's silence? You see, we all have walls. Walls we build with anger, with fear, with shame. And sometimes it takes a moment of breaking to realize what we've been protecting ourselves from was never the enemy. It was our own ego. Michael didn't just rebuild a wall, he rebuilt his heart. And that is something all of us can do, starting today. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go to the comments section and write just one thing. I choose patience. Say it not just for others, but for yourself. And if someone comes to your mind, someone you once hurt with your anger, write to them, even if they'll never read it. Because words, when spoken with sincerity, can travel further than you think, sometimes even into the past. Now, if this story made your heart feel heavy, if it brought tears to your eyes, or made you think of someone you miss, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because out there, someone is about to give up. Someone is on the edge of anger, on the edge of walking away, on the edge of breaking something they'll regret forever. And one story, this story, might save them. Remember, every wall can be rebuilt, but not every relationship. Every word can be spoken, but not every moment can be reclaimed. Be the one who waits. Be the one who listens. Be the one who heals. Because patience is a form of wisdom, and wisdom is a gift you give to the world when the world has forgotten how to be kind. Now I ask you, from the heart, are you willing to be the peace in a world that's forgotten how to wait? Are you willing to pause before you raise your voice? Are you willing to listen before you judge? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever regretted not being patient? Do you think patience is learned, or is it natural? Do people who are patient suffer more or understand more? I want to hear your truth, because maybe your words are what someone else needs to keep going. If this story touched you, subscribe to Buddha Pray, because every day we share stories that help you remember who you truly are. If you believe the world needs more kindness, hit like and share this with someone you love, because the more we remind each other to be gentle, the more this world will begin to heal. And finally, if you feel overwhelmed, if your anger feels louder than your love, if your life feels like broken bricks, just remember, even a shattered wall can become beautiful again in the hands of someone who builds with patience. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you.